Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special meeting of the City Council of the City of Pearsall to be held Thursday, April 26th, here at the Pearsall Public Library. The time is 7:04. May I have a roll call, please?
Mary Moore.
Present.
Julian Hernandez.
Present.
Sally Vinson.
Here.
Aurora Garza. Brenda Trevino. Here. Robert Villarreal.
Present.
Ben Briscoe.
We have a quorum, so let us stand for invocation and for our pledge of allegiance.
Let us go before the Father. Father, as we meet tonight to continue to do the work of the city, we pray that you will guide our thoughts, our words, and our actions. We thank you so much for the good work that's being done, and we ask that you continue that work in the city of Pearsall. We ask for your continued blessings on our citizens, on our council, and on our staff. These things we pray through Jesus, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4, action to consent of allegiance. Action to consent agenda. Item A, discussion and possible action regarding approval of minutes for April 10th, 2018. This is an action item. Need to entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion to discuss. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes, you guys had a chance to peruse them prior to coming to the meeting.
I did.
You have a question?
On the admin language, did you get that to me?
Did you get my email? Yeah. The only thing I changed was that Mayor Pro Tem conducted the meeting in the place.
And on
The cleanup already had all fees waived.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the time on the transfer station being open is set from 9 to 11.
Instead of from 10 to 2, we talked about 10 to 4.
10 to 4. So that was the other thing.
Okay, so we can just have this out of that, because I don't think that got added, I didn't see it.
10 to 4.
I think it's the hours.
That doesn't have, I think it's regular hours, and I will be decided to do. So we'll deal with that addition.
Make a motion to accept. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to item 5, new business. Discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 2018-04-02, accepting the fiscal year 2017 City of Pearsall Independent Financial Audit. Entertain a motion to discuss this.
Motion to discuss.
All in favor? Yes, sir.
All right, today we're presenting the CAPRA, this is looking at, this is a comprehensive annual financial report, with the exception of the statistical section. Josie is working on that section and she hopes to complete it within the next couple of weeks. And that's, so basically, the CAPRA is basically this book here. So to get that certificate, you also have to have those, it's about 20 or so, if you look at the table of contents, 20 or so schedules, which, she's been working on for some time and hopefully, like I said, within the next couple of weeks, we'll have those. And so what you can do is you can approve it with the exception of the statistical section. Once it finishes that, then we'll present the statistical section, and all you do is just approve it. But I'm going to go over the rest of the report with the financial information, so I don't think you can approve. I'm assuming you can approve that, correct? With the exception, like I said, of the stat section. So, the CAPRA is very involved. It's an extensive package of financial and non-financial information. Consists of financial, which most of the credit agencies and granting agencies want to see to give you guys a better picture of how the local government works. So if you look at the table of contents, you see we have an introductory section there, and there's a letter transmittal, which is to go within the introductory section. That's shared letter transmittal, which we will send to the capital organization. And Mr. Jackson had put this together for us. It's pretty extensive narrative. And then there's also your directory of officials that follows that, and then the city's organizational chart that follows that. And then there's also the financial section, and that's what I'm going to primarily go over tonight. And there's also your detailed notes to the financials, the required supplementary information, which is regarding your budgets and your pension information, and the combining individual fund statements and budgets, which is the last section of the report. And it is, of course, the statistical section. So, for the statistical section requires 10 years of information. So, for somebody, the first time prepares these cap reports, that's a pretty extensive effort. What she's having done is look at 10 years worth of your audit reports, 10 years worth of employment history, the census data from the U.S. Census bureaus, and the municipal advisory board. So there's quite a bit of information. And like I said, if you look at the table of contents there, the stat section, those are 20 individual schedules that will include. And so like I said, it's a very comprehensive, very time-consuming process. And then the city staff, again, this is probably the first time ever in the city's history that you guys have had a report like this. So it's quite a bit. So, like I said, I want you to go through it and at your discretion, review the information, and you can contact me with any questions you have with respect to the non-financial information. And then, like I said, what we'll do is once she has that section, she will present it at the council meeting, and that way it gets submitted to the GAF organization. So on pages 3 and 4 is our audit report. On the top of page 4 is our opinion, which is a clean opinion. We resolved the issue with the interfunds. We would perform the necessary resolutions to take care of that. We also have done the necessary resolution for the reserves that were required for your bonds. There might be one potential disclosure for this 2016 CO. We're going to have to ask our attorneys because Mr. Tickett mentioned that bond attorney at the time had said that there was not going to be a reserve required. But based on our review of it, it looks like there potentially could be. And then again, this is to comply with this book. We just have to legally disclose whatever that had to be. And if in fact there is a reserve requirement, meaning you have to build a certain reserve for that debt, then what you do is basically put together a resolution again and then indicate it. We're going to basically build toward, kind of like we did with the USDA, we're going to build towards that reserve over a period of time. So again, something that you mentioned, unfortunately, the bond underwriters that I guess you said that you physically asked that question and he said no, but you look at the wording. I'm going to ask Bobby's office to look at it and make sure. But if that's the case, then it'll be basically a disclosure item in the back, the same, just how we did with the USDA. So you have to build a reserve, and the city's going to take X amount of periods to build towards that reserve. So again, there's just a legal requirement of that. So on page 16 is the city's overall balance sheet. On the far right column, the totals for 2017. The city had cash of $791,000, receivables of $648,000, restricted customer deposits, those are the utility deposits of $300,000, and capital assets of $2,300,000. The city also had a deferred outflow. That's basically a prepayment to the pension plan, and that was $230,000. That's basically required contributions for the next measurement payment, which will be for fiscal year 18. Under liabilities, the city had accounts payable and accruals of $1,700,000. Customer deposits, again, that's the offsets for restricted customer deposits of $200,000. And long-term debt, that's basically all your bonds and capital leases that are outstanding at $200,000. Also is a deferred inflow related to the pension plan, and that's an accrued liability, again, related to the pension plan of $76,000, and the net pension liability was at $245,000. That's reported on the last line item. Total liabilities. So when you apply the assets and the deferred outflow against your liabilities and the inflow, the result is your equity, and that's that $8,148,000. The net position is what the result of the assets against the liabilities consistent. On page 17 is your income statement. On the far to the left column are your expenses. Under recommended interest is total primary government. The city had total expenses, and this again is on an accrual basis, so this also consists of depreciation expense. The total primary expenses were $10,147,000. And then under program revenues, that's basically fees that are generated and which you get in operating and capital grants. The total charges for services, that's mainly your utilities and then the charges that you have for your fines and fees. That was $4,842,000 in revenues. Operating grants contributions were $109,000. Capital grants contributions were $232,000, which primarily consisted of the CDG grant, HRC. Under the general revenues, that's what we consider property taxes, sales taxes, franchise fees. The city had total, again on the far right column, total property taxes of $240,000. Sales and other taxes of $295,000. The franchise fees were $334,000. Interest income was $6,700,000. And the transfers, so this is basically your operating transfers, and this also includes when we did your interfund eliminations. You know, you had that 1.5 million between interfunds. What it does is that it eliminates most of the funds, but you have to gross it back up. So that's a 2.9 million figure. So if you look at it, it's a credit in the government activities. These are the ones that absorb all that. Basically, they had a receivable that they were never going to collect. So consequently, that's a credit to the business type activities and a deficit to the government activities. So again, to the far right column, it's a zero because this is basically still city's money, which is basically how you transfer it. All you're doing is transferring equity amongst your government activities and the business type activities. So the total general revenues and transfers were $5,037,000. So when you add your expenses, your $10,147,000 against your program revenues and your general revenues, the surplus for the year, that increase in that position was $73,000. That's the total surplus. So again, the rest of the report is the required information for the capital, which again is, you go into your notes, the required basic financial statements, the individual fund statements, and then the required budgets. And there again, like I said, it's not limited to you guys to review that at your discretion. And if you have any questions, Mr. Jackson has my contact information. So that's my presentation.
Robert, can we just, on page 17, so when you got the bottom line, you said the net difference was at 73,609.
That's right.
So if you look at everything we took in for the year, everything was spent.
You came up with the surplus.
We ended up with a surplus.
Right. Which is always good.
That's happening.
That has happened a long time, and again, you got trends. If you look at the introductory section, you guys have had a hit on your sales taxes, and these have made some tremendous adjustments to reflect that. So to come up with a profit, even with those obstacles, is I commend you. It shows that there's true leadership. You guys are truly watching the budgets.
And what's our total debt service?
Your debt service, you have, if you look at your governmental, that is, if you look at those are the interest tickets. On page 36. And there again, for the full accrual purposes, you capitalize your principal payments because that's going to be added to your equity and the interest. But if you look at on page 36, if you look at the reductions column, so the government activities, you have $1 million that you have to contribute to debt service. And then the business type activities is 172. So you have roughly $1.2 million That's the principal payments, but that doesn't include the interest, which is essentially what's the, that's what you're looking at right now as far as your total debt service that you have to pay for this. Your 2012 bond, the revenue bond, the 2016 CO, and the capital leases.
Yeah, a couple of things. So I want to point out, he said one word, a whole presentation to give with one word that was important. What was it? Clean.
Clean, yeah.
Clean.
That's
Was it?
right.
Not a single finding, nothing. Clean.
That's right.
And I just want to point out the statistical tables, and he mentioned this in his report, so to have the complete full capital report turned in, so audit, this is audit, it's done. But you have to have those appendices attached to it. And it takes 10 years of data. And so this first year, you put together 10 years of data. Next year, it takes 1 year because you roll the last year off and you put the next year on. And we still have a couple of entities here in town where I'm probably getting the data from. So it's not that Josie hadn't got it done, she's not getting the information from the people we need to get it from. So that's why I went ahead and did one more extension for us to be able to file the CAFR itself. Which means next year we can't get an extension, but of course, as soon as we get this one finished, we're starting on the next one.
Yeah.
But it'll be so much less work. Well, still a lot of work, but it's gonna be less, because we don't have to develop all that. All you gotta do is get 1 year's worth of data from those people, and that'll be a lot easier.
Well, what I intend to do is come October, because I mentioned him, that's the kind of time frame we're looking at, because this capital process is a 3 to 6 month process, really. So I told them to meet the city charter deadline, which is February 28th. Starting October, I'm gonna give you guys, pretty much weekly and bi-weekly updates as far as where we stand. Because it's really critical that we do meet that. And if anything that comes up, I want you guys to be aware of any particular potential issues, so we can address them as we go along. Because otherwise, I don't want to be sitting here come December, January, with kind of whole, slew of problems. So what I'll do is start in October, I'm going to start giving you guys updates. And if not, like the emails, or I'll come physically to the meetings, maybe monthly, just to let y'all know where we're at on these other processes, so that you guys are aware of it.
So it actually works out kind of well, because we'll approve the budget right at the end of September.
Right.
And then as soon as the budget's implemented, we'll roll into the audit on the one we just closed.
Right.
Now, of course, starting October, you still have bills that come in after that you gotta pay, but starting the process of starting to run trial runs and stuff, they can do some of that stuff. Starting that early, so it'll work good. So if you look back over the last, since we're talking about 10 years, if you look back over the last 10 years, do you know how many audits have been done in the last 10 years?
3.
This is the third one. And this one is more comprehensive than what's been done in this town in the last 50 years.
No, I have to say, in South Texas alone, I can't see that anybody is happened. In bigger cities, Valley, and obviously San Antonio. I mean, just to give you an idea, we're dealing with an accounting staff, finance staff, basically Josie and her assistant, 1 or 2 assistants. That's a pretty daunting task. So again, I commend Josie for all the work.
We talked about transparency. This is as transparent as it gets. All those questions that come up in council meetings, what happened here, what happened there, they're all answered in here.
Right.
Every one of them are answered in here. So there's no question anymore. You can pull this book out and you can find out why did this happen with this bond, why did that happen there? It's all right here.
Right.
Every bit
All
of it.
individual funds are there.
So with that, we'd ask you to approve the resolution to accept the audit with additional statistical forms that will be added in. Those are irrelevant to the audit. They're not irrelevant to the final capital.
We entertain a motion to address.
I move that we accept the audit regarding resolution number 2018-0402, fiscal year 2017, City of Pearsall, independent financial audit.
There's a motion. May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Y'all have a good evening.
You as well. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Be in touch.
Thank you, Josie. Thank you. Take care of all of everybody.
She had no idea what she was getting into when she decided she wanted to do that.
Okay. Item 5B, Discussion and possible action considering closure of city office on May 7, 2018. This is an action item. Need to entertain a motion to discuss this.
Motion to discuss.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Madam Mayor, Council, this item, what this item is asking you to do is to rearrange the work week for that week. We have the Cinco de Mayo event on the 5th and the 6th, that Saturday and Sunday. Every indication we have is that we are going to have a lot of people. So what I would like to do is to close the city offices on Monday and make Saturday and Sunday work days to offset them, so that we have all our staff out there, half the staff each day, so that we don't have to pay overtime for the event.
Any questions? Okay. No? Okay. If not, we need to entertain a motion to address this request, please, or deny.
I make the motion to consider the closure of the city offices on May 7, 2018.
There's a motion, may I have a second?
There's a motion to consider, or the motion is to?
She said consider.
So it should be to close, motion to close on.
Motion to close.
Consider the closure. You just didn't finish.
It works.
All in favor? There's a motion to close a second. Motion carries unanimously. All right, we're down to item 6, executive session in accordance with Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D, 551.07. A, interviews applicant for vacant council member, place number 7 position, as well as B, discussion regarding the roles and responsibilities of the city manager. Need to entertain a motion to go into executive session, please.
Motion to go executive session.
All in favor? The time is 7:24.
Mayor, I'm going to go with you to get you started, and then I'll go back.
There's no action taken in executive session. Need to entertain a motion to reconvene to regular special subcommittee.
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? The time is 9:15.
Mayor, you need to put Aurora on the record at 8 o'clock.
For the record, Councilwoman Aurora Garza arrived at what time?
8:05.
8:05. Open session, item A, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 2018-0403, appointing a qualified individual to serve the unexpired term of place 7 for the city of Pearsall in accordance with section 3.09 of the Pearsall City Charter. This is an action item, and we need to entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? First of all, I would like to say both candidates interviewed really, really well. And what we're going to do tonight is take a vote on each one, and the one with the majority of the votes will be the next appointee. Yes. Okay. So if you guys have any other things to say to add to this, or if not, we'll just go ahead and take the vote. The first candidate we interviewed was Mr. Frazier, Galen Frazier. So all in favor of appointing Frazier, Galen Frazier, by show of hand, please. We have, what do we have? I can't see from the side. Four. And she's abstaining because she was not here for the interview. Okay. So we have 4, right in that? Okay, great. And all in favor of appointing Ayla, is that right? Ramos, by show of hands, please. 2. So the vote goes to the new person for the council. Congratulations, Galen Frazier. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You cannot. Next meeting, the next regular meeting. Discussion of possible action regarding the role and no action taken here. Just, discussion. So we're down to item 8, general announcements.
Madam Mayor, Council, we have one announcement, and I'm going to ask Rosie Ibarra to read that announcement.
I know your name, Mayor and council members, city manager. I am Rosie Budd. I've just recently been hired by the county, Frio County, to start the local emergency planning committee. Yes, we're super excited, and we would be even more excited if you guys would love to be a part of it. And yes, definitely want the city of Pearsall involved. I've been listening to your awesome citizens here, and I know that together we could do a lot of great things for everyone. So just really quickly, I believe in a one team. Whenever there's a disaster of any kind, before you know it, there are no boundaries. It hits everyone and affects everyone. So if we all come together as a team, I know that we can do just a lot of positive things in the community together as a whole. So I'm going to be touching base with you one-on-one. I'd like to meet with each one of you to kind of get some feedback and see how I can be of service to you and the whole community. So again, my name is Rosie, and I'll be touching base with
What's
you.
your last name again?
Ibarra with a Y.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Leah, we pass on your, I want you to do that and give them a timeline real quick while you're doing it.
Here's the invitations for the first lady, the time, and how we would meet at the theater at 1:45. And then there's another short, right?
1:45, sure.
1:45, sure.
1:46. Yeah.
Everything on that itinerary is to the minute and second, so everybody on time.
Oh, awesome.
This is the program of what basically going to help you.
My speech. Cool.
That's speech writer.
That's 3 minutes. It looks like
The first lady's office is the speaker.
I didn't do it, I promise, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
That's all I got.
Okay, okay. No other announcement, then motion to.